Hello and what's up guys. In this video we are diving into a shocking revelation that is stirring tension across Nigeria and beyond. The Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs has come out strongly to dismiss claims of a Christian genocide in the country. According to the Council's Secretary General, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, those reports are part of a dangerous foreign agenda aimed at destabilizing Nigeria. He explained that what's really happening is a deep security crisis driven by banditry, corruption, climate change and poor governance, not a religious war. But here is where things get intense. He accused some American politicians, local agitators, and foreign lobbyists of spreading fake stories for political and financial gain, using religion to divide Nigeria against each other. Guys, I will let you watch this video for yourself so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done so. Take a look, guys, and remember to share your thoughts after watching.
Today being 9th of November 2025, convenes this press conference on behalf of the Nigerian Muslim Ummah to condemn the recent threat against the sovereignty of our nation, Nigeria. We have not been emphasizing the killings of Muslims, not because we are not aware that Muslims are being killed, but because we did not see it and we do not see what was going on as a religious war, but a national security issue. The world is aware, however, that some Islamophobic and unpatriotic Nigerians had uttered a dangerous script, promoted it in the Western circles, especially in the United States, and got the attention of the highest levels of the United States government, which are erroneously made to believe that there is a Christian genocide in Nigeria. This is very unfortunate. When the United States of America President, Mr. Donald Trump, labeled our country disgraced, every right-thinking Nigeria was concerned because an ally that is determined to help a sovereign country to completely wipe out the Islamic in quotes, terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. Such a country that is ready will offer to assist and collaborate with the country and not use such horrible language to describe a country it aims to partner in wiping out the terrorists. While a number of countries, China, Saudi Arabia, and so on, have also been designated countries of particular concern, the present context of what Nigeria will not like suggests that the plan is a pretext to destabilize our dear country, Nigeria. We reaffirm that there is no Christian genocide in Nigeria. Under Article 2 of the 1948 United Nations Convention on the Promotion and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide and Article 6 of the Rome Statute, the crime is defined by a critical mental element known as dolus specialis. This is the specific intent to destroy the whole or part, to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. As such, there is nothing of such in Nigeria. For the avoidance of doubt, what Nigeria faces is a complex and tragic security crisis that brings immeasurable pain to all its citizens, regardless of faith or ethnic persuasion. From Katsina to Borno, and from Benue to Plateau, as well as to Kaduna and Kwara, Nigeria bleeds through gruesome savagery against Muslims and Christians, imams and priests. Non-partisan experts have refuted this blackmail, and Amnesty International, which methodically investigates insecurity in Nigeria, has stated that there is, I quote, no evidence of a religious motivation, unquote, to characterize it as genocide. According to the director of Amnesty Nigeria program, he said, and I quote, "I don't think President Trump has any facts. I don't think he has had a very good briefing about the nature of this conflict." Some unquote. Senior researchers like Samuel Malik of the Pan-African think tank Good Governance in Africa, some researchers, including him, have also stated that there is no credible evidence of a state-led or coordinated campaign to exterminate Christians, which is what genocide is. The genocide claim completely collapses when confronted with reality, context, and verifiable data. The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, ACLED, reports in its reporting of 2022 proves conclusively that the overwhelming driver of violence in Nigeria is not anti-Christian persecution, as Muslims and people of other faiths are also overwhelmingly affected. While President Trump and Senator Cross named radical Islamists and Islamist jihadists as the culprits, ISWAP and Boko Haram, the fact is that these groups are deviants whose ideology declares Muslims who do not join them as dissidents. Muslims are also their victims. As Amnesty International correctly stated, they kill both Muslims and Christians. They demolish mosques and churches. They don't differentiate. These terrorists are not our representative. They are our mortal enemies. The world knows that some of the terrorist groups being paraded as Islamic are creation of some non-Muslim interests. For instance, it is publicly acknowledged, though some people want to whitewash it, that the United States of America created Al-Qaeda, which is being projected as Islamic. Also, recently, a U.S. Congressman, Perry, testified that the United States Agency for International Development was financing the activities of Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in Nigeria and elsewhere. If the violence in some parts of Nigeria is not religious, you can ask me, what are the real drivers? So, in our own opinion, the first is ecological. As the International Crisis Group has detailed in multiple reports how relentless desertification and drought product of climate change have degraded pastures and dried up water sources in the far northern Sahelian belt. This is not an Islamist invasion. It is a desperate southward migration of others seeking survival. This climate-driven migration forces others into direct and often violent competition with sedentary farming communities over dwindling resources of land and water. Historic grazing reserves have been lost to expanding settlements, and traditional conflict resolution mechanisms have eroded. This is the point, the flashpoint for the farmer-herder crisis in Plateau, Benue, and other Middle Belt states in northern Nigeria. The second driver is criminality, pure criminality. In the northwest, northeast, southeast, and some parts of the southwest, banditry is fueled by the overlapping factors of poverty, mass youth unemployment, drug abuse, porous borders, and the proliferation of small arms and light weapons. Crucially, as researchers have noted, it is also driven by illicit artisanal mining of solid minerals. Criminal syndicates and bandits sack villages and displaced population, creating an ungoverned space for their illegal mining operations. This is a violent, organized crime racket for resources, and there is nothing Islamic about it. In Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Aziz, Muslims have lost more than thousands of souls to the same bandits who answer to crime, not tribe or faith. The United States Department itself, in the 2022 report on international religious freedom, stated that, and I quote, banditry and other criminality, not animosity between particular religious groups, were the primary drivers, unquote, of intercommunal violence. This is not a religious war. Then, we cannot gloss over the perennial over the years of failure of governance, which has enabled violence in Nigeria. Studies have revealed how endemic corruption, lack of accountability for human rights, and failure to provide basic security for citizens over the years have created a vacuum for impunity. When the state fails to protect anyone, criminals and militias thrive. This is a massive state failure that has been on with us for some time. As some have called it, it is not a state-sponsored genocide. Who benefits from the lie? Who benefits from the lie? There are foreign instigators, especially some American politicians, who seek to energize their domestic evangelical base. We name Senator Cross, who falsely claimed that Nigeria is facilitating the mass murder of Christians. We name Congressman Moore, who pushes widely unverified claim of 500,000 or 100,000 Christians murdered. Their concern is not for Nigerians. Their concern is about votes in Texas and West Virginia. These foreign actors are aided and abetted by domestic instigators who have a clear political, economic, not religious agenda. We must identify a separatist group like Biafra Republic government in exile. Regulatory filings in Washington, D.C. have shown that these individuals are outspending the Nigerian government on lobbyists. And what is their core message, if I may ask? The filings have showed that they are focused on raising the issue of Christian killing on Capitol Hill. This is a political separatist group weaponizing a religious identity to achieve its goals, their goal, which is the balkanization and fragmentation of Nigeria. These lobbyists, who receive millions of dollars, flood Washington with doctored videos and fake statistics. They quote, and I quote, 52,000 Christians killed since 2009. A number, a figure, even Open Doors refuses to endorse. There is also, as we have previously stated, a network of Nigerian citizens at home and abroad who have found a big business in self-flagellation. This crisis and entrepreneurs exploit transactions in religious antipathy as easy pathways to global recognition and fame. They fabricate or decontextualize claims of persecution to gain speaking tours, material gains, or preferential asylum status in the West. The media is awash with evidence of some religious leaders and elites who originated the first claim for non-religious purposes. Some of them ignite and pretend to, at the same time, extinguish fire. We have so many of them. Some people in Nigeria, I don't need to name, they are the ones that will ignite the fire, and they will be grandstanding in the media that they are the ones solving the problem in order to gain unnecessary, unwarranted gain from the government. We condemn these individuals engaging in falsehood and acts that verge on treason. This is why the Nigerian Supreme Council is extremely disappointed by the first proclamation of the Christian Association of Nigeria's president, which has now shown clearly that the individuals who are propagating the falsehood were in reality playing the scripts of the Christian Association of Nigeria. We commend, however, the principled stance of some patriotic and responsible Christians who are sincere enough, including the Christian Association of Nigeria Director of National Issues and Social Welfare, who said, and I quote, "Sometimes our situation is being taken advantage of by groups who know what they benefit from foreign interests. Those foreign interests have a right to poke their nose into what is going on in our system. But we also have a right to report things as they are. Also, the spate of killing does not take any pattern. If they open fire in a marketplace, the bullets don't look for a Christian or spare a Muslim or even spare a baby." It goes on. So, all we must be doing now is to adopt an all-of-society action to stop this insurgency and also address issues of groupthink. Why run to America when you have a Senate here where you can file your petition? In the end, when they place Nigeria as a country of particular interest, of particular concern, all of us will suffer. But those who run abroad to look for sympathy know why they do that, unquote. That's a patriotic, sincere statement by a CAN official. For being factual, we also commend individuals like Mr. Falana, SAN, Chief Femi Fanikayode, Reno Omokri, and Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, among numerous other Christians, for their sincerity. While we denounce irresponsible bigots in religious gaps and ethnic erendies who fail to realize that you don't cut off your nose to spite your face, the citizens that falsely concoct genocide claim, which is capable of igniting divisions and religious war that can turn the country into a battlefield, are neither patriotic nor godly. Countries like Libya, Iraq, Syria are worse off today because bombs don't discriminate destruction. Meanwhile, the U.S. government reimposition of the country of particular concern, CPC designation of Nigeria, is an act of political cynicism. This is the same designation placed on China and Russia. This designation of Nigeria was lifted by the previous U.S. administration in 2023 when the USA acknowledged the complex reality. Its imposition by President Trump is not based on new facts. It is a political tool wielded by lobbyists, and it cheapens the very idea of religious freedom. So, since independence, we must note, Nigeria has worked within the circle of non-aligned nations, free to choose partners for mutual benefits. As such, Nigeria has always extended a welcome to all, to China as to Africa's broader family. We have many opportunities to harness from diplomatic diversification, with each relationship molding a building block in our development projects, or offering a pathway towards our national interests. It is quite troubling to note that our progressive relationship with China, our economic recovery of the present administration, and the increase in our domestic oil refining capacities, which has reduced importation of fuel to the barest minimum, have suddenly attracted this unsavory development. So, there is a clear picture, ladies and gentlemen. Some U.S. politicians seeking domestic votes, U.S. evangelical groups pushing an ideological agenda, Nigerian separatists pushing for fragmentation, and domestic profiteers seeking personal gain are behind this rattling. This is not a human rights campaign. It is a coordinated information operation. To further buttress this point, we must ask this most important question: why now? Why this sudden intense focus on Nigeria? The answer lies in geopolitics. This campaign escalated immediately after Nigeria, at the 88th session of the UN General Assembly reaffirmed its principled position and consistent support for a two-state solution and for the solidarity of the Palestinian people. It is important to note that this narrative of genocide is being driven also by far-right and pro-Israel actors. The goal is to create a distraction, a cynical, despicable whataboutism designed to deflect from the actual genocide being perpetrated in Gaza. They seek to create a false moral equivalence, screaming about an imaginary Christian genocide by Muslims in Nigeria in order to drown out the worst condemnation of a real documented genocide of Muslims in the Palestine. Notwithstanding the fact that there are over 1,000 Christians in Gaza alone, yet the United States continues to support the globally condemned genocide against the Palestinians. The same USA that is currently planning to invade Venezuela, a country with Christians, where Christians constitute 80% of its population, has suddenly become the messiah of the Nigerian Christians. The ultimate agenda is not just distraction, it is destabilization. Our own foreign minister, Yusuf Tugal, has warned the world in plain terms when he said we should not create another Sudan in Nigeria. The United States is well aware that stoking religious division is the fastest and most effective way to destabilize a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation of over 220 million people like Nigeria. They are using these tools of foreign manipulation to fragment Nigeria from within, setting the stage for our collapse, just as is being planned for South Africa. This agenda is not hidden. We refer to a recent op-ed from the American Enterprises Institute, AEI, a prominent U.S. foreign policy think tank. In this article, the author, Michael Robin, asked two questions in the same breath. First, he said, and I quote, "Is there a Christian genocide?" And second, I quote, just as in Somaliland's independence has become a U.S. national interest, would Biafran independence also augment regional security, unquote. The geopolitical objective is the fragmentation of Nigeria to achieve the avowed mission of the separatists in line with the IPOB agenda. While the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs stands for and promotes equity and fairness, let nobody, either in Nigeria or anywhere, be under illusion that Muslims will allow themselves to be further decimated and further underrepresented through a subterfuge aimed at further increasing the Christian representation in federal government appointment from the publicly acknowledged 62% or heads of armed and security forces already predominantly Christian, and where Islamophobic policies, such as recently enacted by the National Insurance Commission, NICOM, will be the norm. We will not sit down and allow that to happen. We turn, however, to our genuine Christian brothers and sisters. We tell them, you are not our enemies. You are our compatriots, colleagues, and neighbors. We are both, Muslims and Christians, victims of a perennial failed security architecture and a brutal criminal insurgency that targets us all. We have never denied our collective pain. Do not let foreign political gladiators or domestic separatists use our real pain to destroy our shared home. We are both, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has rightly said, committed to a Nigeria where, and I quote him, religious freedom and tolerance are the, as I quote, core tenets of our collective identity, unquote. We as Muslims stand with you, Christians, against all violence, against all criminality, and against all terror. We affirm that in Nigeria, there is no Christian genocide. There is no Muslim genocide. There is no religious intolerance in Nigeria. The Nigerian tragedy is that of poverty, climate change, bad governance over time, and armed criminals who kill indiscriminately, while a section of the world seeks to exploit the situation for geopolitical profit. We call on the international community and the press gathered here to reject this false, dangerous, and destabilizing narrative. We call on the Nigerian government to redouble its efforts to protect all its citizens, regardless of faith, destroy the bandits and terrorists, expose and hold the domestic instigators of this divisive lie accountable, and shame the foreign lobbyists against Nigeria. We commend the resolve of the government to, with dignity and honor, engage the USA and the rest of the international community on how to eliminate terrorism and banditry in Nigeria, and indeed in the whole sub-region. We urge President Trump of United States of America to retract branding Nigeria as a disgraced country. We are not disgraced. And rather assist Nigeria with credible intelligence, critical logistics, and human capacity development to enable the country overcome insecurity in different parts of Nigeria. Genuine assistance requires partnership, not unilateral actions, which might, even if it is not intended, even if inadvertent, fragment the Nigerian nation. I will state to the world in clear time, as members of the Muslim Ummah, as a united Nigerian Muslim Ummah, we will not be defined by this lie, and we will not accept that our country be fragmented by a foreign agenda. As a people of faith, we believe that the truth will prevail and our unity as a nation will endure. Thank you, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Go ahead.
Please, gentlemen of the press, I will be as frank as possible with you, and I want to be as frank as possible with you, knowing that many of us would like truth and will recognize truth, even if it's not palatable. Let me start from the last question by my brother from the Vanguard. What do we want Trump to do for Nigeria? We have said it clearly. As soon as this document is ready, I will share it with you. We believe that if USA is actually a lover of humanity, is actually a lover of this country, what we expect is to strengthen the hands of the government in fighting, sincerely fighting banditry and insecurity. We believe that a country that is sincere in that wise will collaborate with government, will allow government to purchase critical facilities, will help us with intelligence, will show that during this period of trial, they stand by us, not to want to seize this opportunity as a pretext to now unilaterally. We want all, not just US, every people of goodwill, every nation that is sincere about its love for humanity, to assist us, collaborate with us as a nation, but not for somebody or anybody to say, I will invade or I will, yes, it's good to eliminate terrorists, but Nigeria is a sovereign nation. And we know, unless we are continuing with the wrong narrative, that is a genocide by government. If you know, and as you ought to know, that it's not genocide, then you collaborate with the Nigerian armed forces to make sure we eliminate the insecurity, not for you to determine. Because in the process of doing so, particularly when you have said you are protecting a section, not all Nigerians, then it means that your intervention in any form will be misunderstood by at least the Muslims, that you have openly declared that you do not represent their interests. You have condemned now all the Muslims in Nigeria as being the one killing the Christians, and therefore you do not. And even if inadvertently, you now kill people who happen to be Muslims, it will be clear. It will be clear that it's not a protection of a group.
Following that powerful video, we take a closer look at the statement from the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and explore why it holds such importance at this critical moment. At a press conference on the 9th of November 2025, the Council Secretary General, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, addressed the growing international claims that Christians are being targeted for extermination in Nigeria. He was very clear: there is no evidence of a Christian genocide. According to him, what Nigeria is facing is a nationwide security collapse, a mix of banditry, terrorism, poverty, and climate-related conflict, not a religious war. Oloyede explained that both Muslims and Christians are victims of the same violent system, a broken structure that has allowed criminal gangs, kidnappers, and extremists to terrorize communities unchecked. He said it's wrong and dangerous to describe this tragedy as a religious cleansing, when in reality, innocent people from all faiths are suffering. But here is where things get even more serious. The council accused some foreign groups, local agitators, and even a few Western politicians of deliberately twisting the story to fuel division. They claim these actors are using religion as a weapon to create chaos, attract funding, and push hidden political interests. The council warned that these false narratives could inflame tensions, destroy trust among Nigerians, and even invite foreign interference. Professor Oloyede urged Nigerians to stay united and see through the propaganda, reminding everyone that peace and progress can only come when we stop allowing outsider forces to define our problems. He also called on the government to take stronger actions against insecurity and work harder to address the root causes, from poverty and unemployment to desertification and displacement. In short, the message from the Supreme Council is this: Nigeria's crisis is real, but it is not religious. The violence we see is driven by corruption, injustice, and weak governance, not a war between faiths. And unless these core values are fixed, the suffering will continue regardless of who you pray to. Guys, what do you think about this? Is the council right, or is there more to this story than we are being told? Let's talk about it in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There is a lot more coming your way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.